शॉर्ट बॉल पे ये शॉट कौन खेलता है यार? अगर मैं होता ना बस बॉल को देखता और शानदार।
खुद को एक्सपर्ट समझते हो तो खेलो प्लेयर स्पॉट पर लोएस्ट एंट्री फी में।
Hi Joss, I just wanted to ask you about Joe Root. Joe Root was in exceptional form in the Test series against Sri Lanka. Did you notice any change in his approach while tackling the spinners, and what are the biggest learnings for the whole team after the series win?
No, Joe was in fantastic form in Sri Lanka. I think he's always had a brilliant game for playing spin bowling. He's one of the best exponents of the sweep shot, and he picks length brilliantly, which is obviously a big strength when playing against spin. And he's very hard to keep dot balls on. You know, he has so many options to score. He scores quickly against spin and manages to rotate strikes. So he did that fantastically well in Sri Lanka, and I think one of the biggest things was his hunger to bat for a long period of time. I thought he showed great application, both mentally, tactically, and physically, really, to bat for so long and back that up in the 2 Test matches. So no, he's in great form, and that's a great place for him to be at the start of the year, and for the team to watch him and learn from him.
Just another one. Do you think Jofra Archer will be the biggest X factor for your side in the series against India, looking at the pace and bounce he bowls with?
He's certainly an X factor player. It's fantastic to have Jofra back in the side, and he'll be excited for a big series in India. But I think we have a few guys who can, do some quite amazing things with the ball. Obviously, James Anderson and Stuart Broad are 2 of the best seam bowlers to ever play the game. Jofra obviously is a huge X factor, and Ben Stokes is a pretty good X factor player as well. So there's a number of guys there.
Thanks, Joss.
Okay, we'll go to Kushan next.
Yeah. Hi, Josh. My question is about, like, the 2016, you played 3 test matches during that series, the last time when England played in India. Like, from that batting group to this batting group, like, what are the changes that you have seen? And if you could just tell us, like, how this batting group has been different from the group of 2016, in terms of, apart from the court side, you, Joe, some of the senior guys.
Yeah, there's obviously some different faces here this year with us. Some young guys who are more at the start of their careers and their first tours in Asia. So Dom Sibley and Zach Crawley and Rory Burns, that top 3 guys, guys who can occupy the crease well. Zach obviously scored quite an amazing double 100 at the back end of our English summer. So yeah, some young guys who are looking forward to their first taste of playing Test cricket in India. I think spending time in India, you start to understand the magnitude of the game here, and coming up against some of the best players in the world. And it's a huge challenge for us as England players coming to play India in India, but that is why we play the game, and that's the guys we want to test ourselves against.
And just another question to add, like, you'll be playing this Test series, and after that there is one-day series, and then IPL, and you are one of the biggest draws in the IPL. So considering the amount of time that probably you have to stay in bio bubble, how are you from the aspect that now it starts with the Test series and probably it will continue till the end of the IPL?
Yeah, it's certainly a challenge. It's hard to say. It's so hard because a lot of people around the world are in very tough situations at the moment with the pandemic and then full lockdowns in certain places, and have had their worlds turned upside down. So we're very fortunate to be able to play cricket and do our job that we love. But having said that, we do find it challenging. Spending time away from your family, being in quarantine and locked up in hotels can be tough. And I think sort of the ECB have been really forward thinking, I feel, for us as an England group to sort of rotate players in and out of this series. And I'm sure at times there's frustrations because you want to see the best players on show and all the time, but it's just not possible with the amount of cricket and the amount of time spent in bubbles to keep people healthy doing that. So I think as well as the the boards and stuff can look after you, it's important to try and look after yourself as best you can with looking at, I think, short-term goals really is really important. I think when you look ahead, there's so much uncertainty. I certainly find that tough, knowing there's no real certainty at the moment in most of the things we're doing. So trying to be quite immediate and just looking at this series to start with.
Thank you.
So due to lots of requests, we'll just do one each from now on, please. So we'll go with Swaroop and then Niru.
Hi, Josh. So the last time India lost a series in India was against England. So I just want to know if you have been picking the brains of, say, somebody like an Alistair Cook or Kevin Peterson or Jonathan Trott, Joe Root himself, to see what worked for them and why exactly is coming to India and playing India and Test such a difficult proposition for overseas players. Thanks.
Yeah, obviously Joe was on that tour and he made his debut on that tour. So he'll have some fond memories and learnings from what that England team did well and how they were successful. That was one of the best England teams we've ever had. So with some quite amazing players. So this side is a little bit of a different stage in our journey, I think, as a team, but certainly getting towards that point and trending in that way. So this is a great series for us at this time. It's an exciting time for us to take on this challenge. And I think that, you ask why it's such a tough challenge is because you're playing against the best team in the world in their own conditions. India have some fantastic players, all who adept at playing in these conditions and playing well. So that's why it's a great challenge.
Okay, we'll go to Niru.
Yeah, hi Jos. I just wanted to know, you've had the experience of playing in the Indian conditions. The IPL's been there. You've been on the previous tour. But really for you, what are the challenges, especially in terms of wicket keeping, also that these conditions present to you?
Yeah, it's obviously very different conditions to what we're used to. But for myself, having played before in India and spending time here with the IPL, getting some familiarity of Indian conditions and some familiar hotels and grounds, I think that is certainly a help just to sort of make you feel more comfortable. There's some big challenges keeping wicket. The way the pitch will change and deteriorate over the 5 days. There's less carry for the seam bowlers than we're used to probably in England or in the southern hemisphere like Australia and South Africa. So you're standing quite close and a lot of the chances are very quick reactive chances. And then obviously the challenge of standing up to the spinners when the ball starts to turn and the pitch can take turn later on in the game. So, but having said it's a challenge, it's also a great place to keep wicket, I imagine, because of you feel like you're always in the game. I certainly enjoyed being in Sri Lanka and the ball turning past the bat. It's exciting. So, I think wicket keeping in spinning conditions is a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Vishal, please.
Hi, Jos.
Hi.
Hello. Hi, Jos. Owen Morgan, he said that he wants the best white ball team assembled in India for the limited over series that follows the Test series. For an IPL veteran like you, I mean, you've been playing in IPL for so long, the conditions. Don't you think for a player like you, the IPL serves as the ideal preparatory ground for in the run up to the World T20 that comes up later this year? So in that regard, don't you think playing in that white ball series after the Test series proves to be counterproductive for you? I mean, given the hectic schedule that England have for the rest of the year.
Yeah, a little bit. I think for Owen and the team, the T20 team, looking ahead to the T20 World Cup. Going from our blueprint of the 50 over World Cup, we had a very settled team going into that tournament with guys playing together for a long period of time, and I think that was a huge plus for us going into the tournament. So the T20 side, we haven't had that time together. I think it's really important for us to play together as a group, familiarity with roles and everyone. So it's a great dress rehearsal really for playing that T20 World Cup. So to play together as a side against a brilliant team like India in the conditions we're going to face in the World Cup is the perfect preparation for that tournament.
Okay, we'll go to Shreseth from Cricinfo.
Good afternoon, Jos. Hope you're enjoying Chennai. One question for you is that my only question actually is that in England, when the test team plays cricket, scores of 350, 370 are often more than challenging totals in the first innings for the team to build on as you progress to day 2, 3, 4, and 5. But in India, a template is sort of to get much bigger scores in your first batting outing. I would assume that it's not much of practice for the England team in England to get those sort of totals all the time because the conditions don't allow it. So how does the England batting unit sort of plan to approach getting those big scores? Something which happens, of course, but it's not usually in the template of Test cricket of how England usually plays.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's about adapting to conditions and playing accordingly. At times when the ball seams and swings in England, a big first innings score can be 300. For example, when we play in India, if we play on a fantastic batting wicket for the first 2 days, a good score will be 600, 650. So I think it's the realization and understanding of that as a batsman and as a batting team. And having the hunger to go on and score big runs. And Joe Root was a great example of doing that for us in Sri Lanka with a double 100 and 180. And I think they just showed us that, those first innings, you have to make the most of it and score big runs. And I know we played here in Chennai 4-5 years ago and scored 470, and then India scored 700 and something with Karan Nair scoring 300. So it's a great education of what is big first innings runs in India, and having the mindset and application to go and doing that.
Okay, we'll go to Kushik and then Roshan.
Yeah, hi Jos. My question is that you have been playing in IPL for quite some time, playing against the quality Indian bowlers. Do you think this gives you an extra edge when you are in India, and even though the format is different?
I think the thing that it does give you is familiarity of the wickets and the guy having played against the majority of the guys, sort of understanding of their action and how they try and bowl and sort of having faced them before is gives you a sighter really of how they perform and what they try and do with the ball and the angles they create. So of course the formats are different and that's a huge change. But sometimes if you haven't faced guys before, it's like a Bumrah who has a bit of a unique action. If you've not faced him before, it can be take some getting used to. So certainly for the boys who've played international cricket before against India and played against in the IPL, you certainly know the angles and what to expect a little bit.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Roshan, please.
Good evening, Jos. Would you have, accounting for the all and nothing way India went about playing the Test in Gabba, would you have preferred that squad, that 11 now, as opposed to the one that's going to be presented? Because they don't really have too much to lose. The team at the Gabba, they didn't have too much to lose, but here they do, right? So do you suppose they will be a little more complacent, and do you think, which do you think would have been more challenging for you of the two 11s if they were to be presented?
Anytime you play against India, it's a huge challenge. I think obviously the Australia series really showed the amazing strength in Indian cricket and in the Indian squad to go and win that series in Australia when you're missing Virat from the first test and having so many injuries. It just shows there's fantastic strength and depth and competition in Indian cricket, and a lot of fearless cricketers, a lot of them bred from the IPL. So there's no wanting to face either team really, but I know that there'll be no complacency from the Indian side, and Virat will be coming back having had some time away from the test matches, so he'll be hungry to lead and to play well. So it's going to be a great challenge.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take three more, starting with Anshul and then Sampath. So Anshul, go ahead.
Hi Jos, how has the bubble life been to you? And considering the way two teams have played their recent overseas tours, how do you think this series, the relevance of this series in general and from the point of view of Test cricket, seeing India as the strongest one of the strongest teams at their home in Test, alongside maybe New Zealand.
Yeah, India are a brilliant team, and we're really excited about the challenge. Obviously, for India, having they'll be very confident, having played brilliantly well in Australia, and as you mentioned, a fantastic team playing at home. And for us, we come here with confidence from the series in Sri Lanka. It's obviously good to play in conditions which may be a little bit similar to India. Having played some cricket, so now doing a 6-day quarantine and only having 3 days of practice before the match, it's good for us to be a little bit battle hardened by playing 2 games. And I think India and England is a fantastic series. It's one of the premier cricket series around the world, and we're all looking forward to a brilliant series.
And final 2, Sampath and then Lalit.
Good afternoon, Jos. Just wanted to know if you've got any fond memories of the stadium in Chennai. I'm not sure if you remember it. Last time in December 2016, you were a real fan favorite.
Yeah, it's obviously a great stadium, and as remember back then, fielding in front of the crowd and having a little bit of fun. Unfortunately, we were fielding for a long time, so it was good to engage with the crowd and try and have a bit of fun. But yeah, I love coming to play cricket in India. We'll miss the fans this time, but I'm sure, hopefully in the near future, we'll be able to get the crowds back and entertain again.
And Lalit, last question, please.
Hi, Jos. The Sri Lanka 2 was just your second series as a wicketkeeper in Asian conditions after nearly 6 years. And now you get to play only 1 game over here. So with the multi-format players being rested on rotation, how does the England Test side set its priorities in particular, given that a qualification scenario for the World Test Championship final is still open for England?
Yeah, obviously, as we all know, it's a huge challenge at the moment with the pandemic and bubble life for cricketers and a packed schedule to keep people playing every single game. So that I think the ECB have been very forward thinking and trying to prevent problems before they happen for players. So sadly, that does mean certain players resting at certain times and missing games, which you never want, because you want to play every time and you want your strongest team out every time. But unfortunately, that doesn't seem possible at the moment. So that's how it is at the moment, and it's the sign of the times at the minute. But we have to look after our players.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jos. I appreciate your time. Thanks, everyone. And the video and audio will go on the Indian WhatsApp group. Have a great afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.
स्पोर्ट्स से जुड़ी किसी भी अपडेट के लिए स्पोर्ट्स तक को सब्सक्राइब करें और हमारे फेसबुक और इंस्टाग्राम पेज को भी जरूर फॉलो करें।